Hello everyone, myself Namrata Thakur, Senior Lecturer in the Department of Computer Engineering at Praveen Patil Polytechnic, Bhinder East. Let's start part 2 of Unit 4. So Unit 4 is Data Access in VB.NET. I have already uploaded the first part of the same chapter. Kindly go through it to revise your concept related to data access in VB.NET. Students, so let's learn the part 2 of Unit 4. By watching this video, you will able to understand the different concepts like data provider, data adapter, data set and the data reader. Students, this is the components of the ADO.NET. We have already learned the ADO.NET in first part. So now we are going to see in detail about the data provider, data adapter, data set and data reader. And the main concept we are going to understand, that is how to connect the VB.NET application to the database. So we are going to understand the concept of the connection to the database as well. So let's start with the data provider. Students, we have learned the data provider is used to provide the data, and this is the component or key component of ADO.NET. So it is the set of components that facilitate the data access. There are three types of data provider. First one is a SQL wala object, second one OLEDBs, and after that the ODBC. I already explained this in a first part. It contains the connection, command, data reader and data adapter. So whenever you want to facilitate the data access, or this is the whenever you want to access the data, the first one you are going to create the connection. There is a command object that represents the direct command to the data source, and data reader provides the connected forward only, read only access to the database, and data adapter provides the disconnected data access. So, what are the different .NET framework data provider? There are some data provider. The first one is a SQL data provider. It provides the data access for Microsoft SQL Server only, and the API prefix is SQL. The second one is the .NET Framework Data Provider for OLEDB, Object Linking and Embedding Database. It is used to connect with the OLEDB object, and it requires the system data.oledb namespace, and it is used to connect with the relational as well as the non-relational database, and the API prefix is OLEDB. Whenever you want to constraint or whenever you want to use only relational database, then go to the provider ODBC. So there is a provider called as a data provider for ODBC. It is used to connect the data sources by using ODBC, and the API prefix is ODBC. Students, there are some namespaces for the same, and for ODBC we have a namespace system.data.odbc. There is also .NET framework for the Oracle. It is used for the Oracle data source, and it uses the system.data.oracle client namespaces, and the API is Oracle. Now the last one is the data provider for SQL Server Compact 4.0. It provides the data access for Microsoft SQL Server Compact 4.0, and it requires the system.data.sql server namespace, and the API for the same is again SQL. So this is all about the data provider, which is used to facilitate the data access. Now the next one is data reader. Students, you can easily understand the role of data reader is to read the data from the data source. So data reader, it used to retrieve the data from the data source. It is used in a read only or forward only mode because it is only a reader over here. So it is used for sequentially reading the data from the database, and it consists of the different objects for reading the same. It provides a very efficient way to access the data. It passes the table data from the SQL server and other methods of retrieving the data from the other sources. So now, how to read the data from the database? Students, you know these things very well. There are some commands, SQL commands are there to retrieve the data or to read the data from the database. So, it is usually accompanied by a command object that contains the query, that optionally any parameters, and the connection object to run the query. So, there is a queries used for reading the data from the database. The next one is data adapter. Data adapter is used for performing the select, insertion, update and delete operation in the data source. So whenever you want to perform this operation, you are using the concept called as a data adapter. It is a part of ADO.NET data provider. It always provides the connection between the dataset and the data source. So we can use the data adapter in the combination with dataset object. These two objects combine to enable the both data access and the data manipulation capabilities. The next one is a data set. Students, data set is a collection of data. Where you are storing the data? Suppose I am storing the data in form of tables. So in tables, we are storing the data and there are some rows and columns over here where I can store the data. So data set is a memory representation of data. It works as a virtual database containing the tables, rows and the column. It is called as a disconnected architecture because it is having the cache set of records that are retrieved from the database. When the connection is established with the database, the data adapter creates the data set and stores the data into it. After the data is retrieved, it is stored in the dataset and the connection with the database is closed. Students, we are going to understand all these concepts practically in the practical part or in the practical session. Now the next one is creating a data connection. Students, now we are going to understand how to create a data connection. Basically, the .NET framework provides the two types of connection. First one is a SQL connection and second one is a OLEDB connection. Now we can check out how to create a connection, data connection. So there are some steps for the same. First of all, open your application, go to the tools and after that click on the connect to the database. Students, for connecting to the database, just select the option called as a tools and after that select the option connect to the database. Once you clicked on connecting the database, it will show you the different data sources. The data sources are like Microsoft ODBC, SQL Server, SQL Compact 3.5, Microsoft Access or Microsoft SQL for database file or ODBC or Oracle database. So you can select any data source of your choice. So you can choose a data source of your choice over here. So suppose I am using the database Microsoft Access. So I will select the Microsoft. Suppose I am storing the data in Oracle. So I will select Oracle. If it is in case of SQL, I will select the SQL and press on continue. After clicking on the continue, it will allow you to select the server name and database name in the add connection dialog box. Once you press the continue, it will show you the add connection dialog box. In add connection dialog box, it will show you your data source. Suppose I have selected the Microsoft SQL. If you want to change it, you can change it by using change the server name and after that the particular log on to the server name. and connect to the database. Here select or enter the database name. Okay, suppose my database name is whatever the mention over here, and clicked on the test connection. Once you clicked on the test connection, it will check whether the connection is succeeded or not. So click on the test connection button to check if the connection is succeeded or not. Once you clicked on that, if it is successfully connected, it will show you test connection is succeeded. Click on OK and go to the form. Now, here you have completed the concept called as a connection to the database. But if you want to access it in your VB.NET application, how to do that? So in VB.NET application, on application, take one data grid view. Data grid view helps you to show your data on your application. So once you take that application over here, once you take that data grid view on your application, it will automatically allows you to choose the data source. So click on that, and after that here it will show you the database called as a none, and the last one is add project database source. Click on that project data source, and after clicking on that, it will show you whether you want to choose a data source type, whether you want to select the object, a server or database. Click on the database and press next. Once you click on the database, it will allows you to choose a data set of the model. So click on the data set, and after that click on the next. After that, it will choose the connection which is already set up. We have already set up the connection. So just click on the next button over here, and after that save the connection string. It will automatically save it, and therefore press the next button over here. After clicking on the next button, it will show your database object. So your database object is a table one, and the different fields in the table like name, address, mark. Select all the fields because you want to use all the fields inside your application. Clicked on the finish button, and after finishing it, okay, all the data will get appeared on the data grid view control. So you can easily find out your data in a data grid view control over here. This is all about to connect the database in your application. So we are going to see it in a practical session also, how to perform it practically. So if you have any doubt, let me know. I will surely help you to solve the same. Thank you.